So during my development, there was so much societal rhetoric about the importance of being a trans ally and the shame that is that being transphobic is. And that if you are transphobic, then you hate transgender people. And basically, I think that being a trans ally makes people feel good to stand in complete solidarity with a group of people who they perceive as very unjustly criticized or hated, or attacked unfairly. And it is very wrong when anybody is actually attacked or killed, for something that they're doing that really is mostly affecting themselves. I think that is wrong that people who cross-dress or identify as transgender get hunted in some areas. I think that is really messed up and an aspect of human violence, that is very, very wrong. But I used to be really afraid of being transphobic myself. And I remember when the trans ideology and stuff really started hitting the mainstream more a little over a decade ago. I didn't understand anything about transgenderism. And I understood that it was people who believed that they were the opposite sex. And I was very, very, I had a phobia of being transphobic, to say the least, even accidentally. I didn't want to accidentally call somebody the wrong pronoun or, and that I think in part is because of the social witch hunt that has occurred against people who are against the movement. So it wasn't until around 2 years ago that I really realized, I actually don't know anything about transgenderism. So why am I afraid of something, of being something, of accidentally being against something that I have no understanding of? So I did a lot of research about transgenderism, and I have come to the conclusion that I do not think it is possible to be transgender. And I think to the transgender community, this is the most that's the most offensive perspective to them that you can have, because then they rationalize that as, you don't think it's possible to be transgender, then you are completely, discrediting and saying that this entire faction of society and human beings don't even exist. That's not the case at all. I realize that they are human beings who everybody is a human being. So me saying that transgenderism doesn't exist is not the same as me saying that people who think they're transgender do not exist. I'm saying that what they think they are is what does not exist. So I think that a man transitioning to become a woman, or a woman transitioning to a man, I think that is about as feasible and possible as a human being transitioning to become a cat or a dog. That's what I mean by it isn't possible. And even furthermore, medically transitioning does not make it possible either. It may make you physically appear like the opposite sex or the other gender, but it is not changing your biological makeup in any aspect at all to make you that gender. And there are a lot of people who think that transgenderism is progressive. I believe that transgenderism is regressive, and it prevents reproduction, which is the ultimate form of progression, actually, is creating new life to replace ours and continue going into the future. And medically transitioning is a sterilization procedure. So another interesting thing that I've learned in my research about transgenderism is, if it is so progressive to be transgender, then why do some of the world's most gender reassignment surgeries occur in countries like Iran, where they believe that it is better to be transgender? They believe that in Iran, it is preferable to medically transition than it is to be gay. That was a really, really interesting thing for me to learn. So there was a religious decree passed in Iran in the 1980s because of how homophobic the country is. And it's just so interesting that that happens in one part of the world, and then in other parts of the world, like the United States and Canada, there are people crying out about how progressive this movement is. So I have watched a lot of bottom surgeries, and I have watched double mastectomies, and I have learned a lot about hormone replacement therapy and how it affects the body. And my heart really goes out, actually, to people who think that they're transgender, because a lot of them are actually gay and autistic and have histories of trauma and SA. And my heart really goes out to people then who medically do transition and irreversibly damage their body while being, while being pretty much completely enabled by society. I'm trying to think of what the, affirmed. Yeah. You can, if you think that you are transgender, you will be affirmed right into damaging your entire body and never being able to reproduce. So, have a good day.